So this is Taylor Swift in rehearsals. What we're actually doing here is, she has a song about cheerleaders. It's actually an emotional song. It was based on something that went down in her life when she was 15, and she didn't really like cheerleaders. She wanted to be in the band, but the cheerleaders were kind of, cheerleaders and jocks kind of thing. I didn't go to an American school, so I don't understand any of it. Anyway, these are the cheerleaders from her original high school. It really was actually quite sweet revenge. But there we are, we're just green screening them. And in product, they're up on the big 40mm resolution screen and also projected onto the white surface of all the scenery, actually a little larger than life, but they also danced with the real dancers, and the band are all up the stairs here. This is the opening. She's just come up on the elevator. And then she comes down one of the stairs, and that's the show start. It's actually, prior to that, the whole curtain, Austrian curtain, lifted, gathering at the bottom. It was quite a good start. There's a lot to it. And here you can see, that's a real person, and those are video people. So we actually got quite crowded, and here's the big dance routine up here. Yes, Taylor. So then, lots of time programming, and these are my little cardboard tubes. I use stand-ins, cardboard tubes made for forming concrete, and these I think are 20-inch, which is about the width of somebody, and I've got them cut off at an angle so it kind of gives a head shape. I use them for focusing and an object to illuminate, as I said before. Without an object, lighting is irrelevant. There is no need. The object is all about lighting. The lighting is all about objects. And there's two types of light. The eye sees, there's radiant light, which you shutter down, dazzle and twinkle. And then there's reflected light, which is what the eye is built for. So you always need an object, a person, and again, haze, smoke, those are considered visual objects. Otherwise, it's just, if it doesn't have an object, just like deep space, there's loads of light in space, but it doesn't have any object to reflect, so you don't see the light. Okay, so these are just big moving pieces. One of the things that came up was, we play these drums. The violinist and Miss Swift used to play good and evil sort of drum battle on these trash cans, which is kind of cute. So I got regular 55-gallon drums, and this is the spray technique. It's white, and then we spray it with something that makes the material rust, and we put in XLR microphone sockets, installed microphones, and built these drum kits. So here's Evil, and here's Miss Goody Two Shoes, and they've got side toms and this great big thing here. It actually worked rather well. We had a Jamaican gentleman who made steel drums come and pound out the shape on both the ends and on the tops, and they were tuned. That was kind of interesting. One of the things that often happens in arena tours is they have a meet and greet, a big backstage, radio stations, local personalities, contest winners, all sorts. But there's usually 300 or 400 people come and meet and greet. This is a space where they would normally stack chairs, carts and dollies full of chairs. We built a green room that's not quite normal. Usually if they're going to have a private space, it'll be pipe and drape, 10 foot high, X amount of square feet. So we built a pipe and drape room that was 40 foot square, but it could be changed because it's every 10 foot is a pipe and a drape, and you can flex it there. But we used our own material, and we selected 3 colors, rather nice reds, golds, and browns. What's not normal is building a roof. So this is the inside of the tent. They spend a lot of money on really exotic furniture, not so much money on exotic, this is some kind of gossamer. This is a cardboard tube for forming concrete in yet again. It's 10 foot high, has a ring on the top. It's all Velcro, and this is some kind of gossamer, again, flame-proof material. And that was a 40-foot green room, and it was really exotic. It was, it was kind of really fabulous, actually. They burnt incense in there, and there was little sitting tables. The band used it as a sort of relaxed room during the day. And here's, table tennis. They've got a video center. And then after the show, she would come and meet all the kids who'd been picked out of the audience for having the best. There's the whole process of how these people got there. Plus, they had a meet and greet before the show, and her mum used to give a tour of the whole production. And this is really what it is. There's that space, and this is the top of the roof. It doesn't look much, but the space is completely converted into this exotic space, and it's all done with material. So it's pipe and drape with carpenter's clips, clipping it all along. And it didn't matter what the shape of the room was, you could always adjust it with the clips. This is the top, it's actually a aluminum collar that sits on top of the 10-foot cardboard tube. Cardboard forming tube is very, very affordable. It's a little on the heavy side. It's actually flame retardant. It's super pressed, so it doesn't have it doesn't burn very. A fire inspector will actually handle it because it's got a very slow ignition time, and its fuel transference is negligible. So anyway, that was the bonus. This all had its own truck. It was quite an expensive item, but you can do amazing things with simple stuff. Cardboard tubes. You'll find there's a cardboard tube manufacturer in everybody's town, or at least there'll be somebody who supplies it. You can get cardboard tube from 1/4 of an inch up to about 54 inches. The Ohio Cardboard Tube Company. You'll find them on the internet. You'll find everything on the internet. The only CAD drawing was done, and I don't know why we did it, because this was all sent out to specialists. Word of warning, when you do actually construct something, unless it's for your own in-house production, for example, I design my lighting. I then say, do not construct from this drawing. You must draw it again yourself. So in this tour's instance, it was Bandit Lights. Although I sent them detailed lighting plots, they had to redraw it all and put their own signature on it. This excludes me from liability. The same with construction. Do not construct from this drawing. The engineers have to build their own engineering drawings because they have an engineer who signs it. Their responsibility. You can only make suggestions, and you make a big point of this. It's actually quite, never get involved. If you're going to be a designer, be a designer. You always take the opinion of the specialist, the constructor. You're just a consultant. You can say, I want it made out of the most ridiculously flammable material, but the person who's going to construct it is going to say, you can't build it out of this material, you should be fireproof, or they should do. You actually have to insist that they do it within the rules and be prepared to take liability. Draw your own drawings, do not construct from these plans. Okay, Taylor Swift's only drawing, it details the elevator cylinder, the drum riser and quick change room, 3 staircases and a header walkway, and the final positions for these towers that only appeared for one song. There were 3 acts. First was without the towers, just this, and then those sails, which we'll see. Act 2, the curtain came down, she appeared middle of the show, in the middle of the hall, small stage, did a little acoustic number, very country again. And then in front of the curtain they had that little minuet dance, and that opened up, and there are all the towers, the top of Act 3, which was the song Love Story, and that was the signature song, it was the signature look, it really was a big moment. And from there on, it was just plain sailing to the end. So, later, when they realized they were just making more money than sense, we got rid of all the projectors, which we shouldn't have started with anyway. This is 4mm, 6-inch square video tiles. The whole set is now covered in video tiles. Actually, the whole set except for the treads of the stairs, and they are in fact mirror, plastic mirror. And that reflected the rise, so from sitting up in the high bleachers, everything was just completely bright and shiny. And in this particular case, later ivy would grow all over it. And This is Joan of Arc. This is a real picture from somewhere in Normandy. The church that Joan of Arc was burnt outside of. The irony is she didn't have much fun with boyfriends either. That's in joke. Okay. She's always singing songs, teenage angst songs about boys that let her down. So this is in rehearsals. This is a projection that should have been on this tower, but it's not. We're still using the towers, the original projected towers, but we've gone on to the tiles here. So it actually was, one part was phased out, one part was phased in. Eventually, this all became digital print. This is all electronic scenery. This is a great way. Now the intensity of this is dialed down to 7% of its total output because it's actually daylight billboard hoarding equipment. So it was a powerful light source. There was one strobe flash we did on this. Actually, it was 3 flashes, 1, 2, 3. And it was at 100% for that moment. And it really was stupidly bright. It was brighter than the whole light rig put together, but we only did it one time at the very end. So here it is in, these are all rehearsal shots. This is just all the lights in white. It's just showing what it is. Okay, this is the rental stuff, Transformer. I think they bought it actually. In fact, I know they bought it because I ended up inheriting it and I've got it in my yard. And this is all projection. This is low res, this is projection, this is projection, but they're 3 different zones. This butterfly flew from the rear through here and then around here. In fact, it did a kind of circuit. There were 3 different rolls going on. But then we converted to 6mm rear resolution. That was a big jump from 40 to 6. And then got rid of projection on this. And this is the video wall, which is not lit. Actually, that's also good because before we had a white scene that wouldn't go away no matter what we turned off. And here we actually have a black scene, which could be any color afterwards. And then all this is video tile, all this, everything. Yeah, well, that works really well. In the middle of all this, I designed a television studio for Comcast. It's amazing what you can do, double tasking. I know this is all I did was design this. You see this little bit here? Do you recognize that from Keith Urban's Bridge, perhaps? You can plagiarize yourself. It's a good way of recycling a good idea. Use it once, it's good. Use it twice, it's actually free. And so this is a glass top with a little LED blue line. And the program's called the upside. So we had this up, and on the side we had the word side. And typical San Francisco, they only gave you good news. No, they don't even know what disaster is. Yeah, I think it might even still be running. This is the final result. Simple fabric drapes on a pipe gathered. The trick with all this is the whole studio was automated. This used to roll out on its own. It would disappear into a little loading dock of its own, park itself, plug itself in, recharge its batteries, because it was cable free. And on the other side, a children's program would wheel itself in, and it was literally, all the cameras were remote, everything. And this is the actual result. And this I took off of a YouTube video, actually. Yeah, I just took it with my camera. It's amazing what you can do anyway. And at the same time, I did some television work for this gentleman here, Kenny Edmonds' Babyface. And this is a little TV studio in Washington, D.C. So you can get yourself overdone. Yes. That's interesting. I got the same note here as I had before. I must go with the slide. So that was Taylor Swift. Keith Urban, don't ask the stupid question, what do you want? Taylor Swift, I've got an idea that suits you to the ground. Having already got a good brief, and I also examined what she was about more. I researched her more. That was, I think I got a hang of it. 17-year-old girls, it's kind of a number. Anyway, so any questions on any of that? Where would I find things? You don't have to manufacture one, Eric. I can cast speed on here. Okay, good. So let's go on. This is This is going to be, this is the moment when this is the Penn and Teller moment. Well, actually all of it is. These are things, this is the Thompson twins. Wow, look at it, speeding along. They had no money at all. I started working for them. I actually worked for the first couple of months for free. Well, they were going somewhere, but they didn't quite have the cash yet. So they needed a stage set, and the cheapest thing I could think of was zip-up scaffolding. What's it called here? Access? It's aluminum scaffolding. It's hook and pipe. It's snapped together. So we rented this from a builder supply because they didn't have any money. They had cash flow, but they didn't have cash spare. The only thing we built was this staircase here. And don't ever build staircases that are 1 foot high. They're really difficult to climb. Go back to the ordinary stairs, which are 7 inches. They mastered it, but it was really difficult. So up here's a platform with roof, and we would cover all this in fabric material. This is really simple. There was no truss involved in this rig at all. So we build these. Here's somebody up. He's just about to throw the fabric bag. There's one already built. There's just ties around the top and weights around the bottom. One of the interesting, this is actually a black gauze built into the black velour. And behind that's a black rear projection screen, and behind that's a platform. And there would be somebody in one song, and he had a pickaxe, and it was a song about work. And every 4th beat, he'd be in a new position, and the light would come on for 1 beat. And then he'd be in another position. So there's this little shadowography going up in this area here. I think this tower had a platform behind it, so this one-time use percussion frame that was more visual than musical, that used to slide on. There's a trapdoor here that had a ladder in it, and that's where Tom Bailey, the principal musician, would pop out of at the beginning of the show. Later, the lid would open up, and there'd be a hemispherical mirror ball rotating on it. These are the very lights hung on the towers, par lamps, photographic lights. This one was particular because there was a song about a detective, and they had one of the crew dressed up like Dirk Bogarde reading a newspaper, a silhouette, and that lit him up. They were very theatrical, actually. Footlights, 4-cell, 500-watt, ground rose, red, blue, green. I suspect it was yellow. Yep, and here, behind here were the 2 keyboard players. Actually, I never liked that, but because, well, I never said it, but they looked like they were making pizza or something, you know. But they weren't important. This was 3 Thompson twins. Yes, Tom Milana and Joe Leeway. And they didn't know anything. I taught them to dance. So we had a choreographer who kind of came and taught them. So this is how we lit the stage. There are actually 9 moving lights here. I think we had 2 on the sides. There's the stairs. It's all soft goods. It's all on this aluminum frame, which was really quick. You didn't need any tools to put this together. Going on. Have we seen that one before? Okay, rear view here. So this is where, in here was a secret room, because these guys used a lot of tape. This was about the time of Milli Vanilli, you know, well, a little earlier. But so taped canned music was it was a secret room. Nowadays, everything's on track, it seems. So here are the 1,000-watt ground rose which were lighting up the background, which was just white scrim hung on simple pipe and rope or whatever was in the theater. This is a thing called tubular ripple. It's an old effect from the 1930s. It's a revolving cylinder with slots in it, and as the slots eclipse each other, you get this water ripple effect. It's quite good, actually. I think you can actually still get those. They're remade by Mainlight. Mainlight? They make kind of special effects. So, again, let's move on. There's one picture, we're coming to the next one. So this is the whole structure. What they're doing up here is they're waiting for stuff to be thrown up to them, drapes or whatever. There's the RP screen. They haven't finished building the bag. This needs to be bagged. There's the platform for stowing the percussion. It rolled onto there. There's the trapdoor for the entrance, the dreadful stairs, and the drum riser. Over here's the platform for the pizza makers. keyboard artists. And here is it. This is the show-all, tell-all picture. There is no truss. This is in Leicester University, I seem to remember. They happen to have these electric winch, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and they just happened, the shape was governed by what we found. On other occasions, we just throw rope down. You see, we've already got a rope tied off here. There's another one. That's just to pull that point out, to gull wing this out. We just had sandbags on the bottom. Really beautiful. Lots of background register, just colors, and also, we didn't do very much pattern on here. We did do some shadows of, again, people with tools and hammers through on there. This is really hand to mouth. Here's two Verilites. This is an A-frame made up of aluminum tube and key clamps, which is basically how farmers build cattle crushers. There's a moving light. That's a Mark I Verilite. That's a Molfay 9 light. There's a photographic lamp. There's mostly another one on there. And that was the side lighting. If you haven't got a front truss and you haven't got a rear truss, you should have at least side lighting in the form of a tormentor, an upright truss. That you can light somebody completely from the side, as long as you get a light to the tip of their nose on each side, their front lit. But you know, that's the most affordable way of getting the front edge of your stage lit. As soon as you start hanging motors, you're paying for the space in the air. And so that's the side light. There's another one over here. Ground rows that used to snug in front of all the monitors. There's one there. This is an old Verilite console. Yep, that was. They never did finish that because they came out with a new one before they did. Yep, there it is. Truss-free. This is important for those people that really don't have money. Big money to get stuff up in the air. Ground support's really a great way to go. There's a lot of light there, all ground supported, and it doubled up as scenery. So as they went down the road, they got more expensive. They got better and earned more money, and they bought the scenery, and then we started building stairways, proper staircases. These are 8-inch risers, all the way up. But staircases that go to nowhere are pretty useless. That's the secret room. Here's the one. Finally, we used cladding. This is aluminum roofing, garage roofing. And there's a doorway there because a stairway to nowhere is pretty useless. So they could climb up a zigzag of stairs inside and up here to that. There were two of these structures, and that was the stage floor. So here they are in oh, dang. No, I've got this on automatic. Dang. Oh, well, there. You saw for a moment there. I can't go backwards. Okay. You saw for a moment there was that little breakaway gauze. So that's a black RP screen with gauze in front of it, black gauze, shark's tooth gauze, and that's it. The gauze hides the screen, and because it's black on black, you don't see anything until you light up from behind. And that was really quite a good effect. And it's some people I know who are very old know this. They remembered it. Okay. This is what I'm doing currently. Well, this is one of my current clients. This is Miss Diana Ross. Look at this. We've seen these before, remember? This is a LED video wall. These are stairs. This is all white paneling that's backlit by LED strip lights. It's changed since then. We've kind of downsized, got rid of all the white, and it's now just simple low risers. There are 12 people on this, 4 horns, 3 vocals, piano, guitar, bass, drums, percussion, and sometimes in there's a violinist, but not on this occasion. And Miss Ross. Now, what's interesting about this is there's actually there's 60 kilowatts of lighting up here, all par lamps. They're all focused to this area here. So the only people who actually, it kind of cuts over their heads and drops down behind them. There's the top of the beam there. It's all dumped in this area between the horn, the vocal, and the next row of risers. It doesn't actually illuminate anybody. We don't use smoke either, so it doesn't light the air. But it does cause a background register on her silhouette, which is good. And again, this is really all about television. She's lit in only one follow spot. This is to keep her isolated from any color contamination. It's a follow spot that's, I usually use 1/8 minus green correction, which is, if the follow spot's an old xenon, I'll use quarter minus green. And if it's really, really old and blue, I'll use the 3/8, which is the quarter and 1/8 together. And that's it. And that gives her a really great skin tone. And she's more interested in herself than anything else. She is a diva. But the trick is here is that whole area, although this is a high gain floor, so you will see reflections, but this first 8 feet is completely void of light. Actually, in the front truss, there's a 30 kilowatt stage wash for when all the band come down in the beginning of at the end of the show for the big finale. And that's a television wash. It's 30K, straight focus, right across here, and everybody gets white top front, so it's actually at this angle, which is kind of okay. 4 follow spots because of these guys, because they all come out and do they come down and be a horn quartet down here. They all need a follow spot. I then use 1 on her. Towards the end of the show, it gets brighter, so I then put in 2. And then each person on stage, they all have a tungsten key light. Well, actually, the drummers have 3, and they're from just over their shoulders. Again, if you can light to the tip of the nose, you'll light the face. But drummers have reflective surfaces, cymbals and drum skins, and that bounces back. So light the skins and you can relight the front of their face, although you've given them a great silhouette. I don't mind if I don't have great facial recognition, because they're part of the scene. They're interesting, they're animated, but you don't need to reveal their personality as in their facial real features. So these 3, they've got 6 lights on the rear truss, source 4s, 19 degree, and they're sharp, not soft. You get more light out of a sharp edge, actually. It's, you're focusing it. It's focused to the magnification. It's magnifying the light more. Now these guys on the front truss, I've got, I've forgotten now, 15 lights. 1, 2 for him, 2 for him. Oh, sorry, I'll say again. There are 4 lights for these guys. 1 light covers these 2, the next light covers these 2, the next light covers these 2, and the next light covers him. He's the director of horn music. And this guy here plays a lesser part. He's the baritone saxophone. So actually, that's why I've got 1 light on there. It's a hotter spot, but they all overlap. And there's a redundancy. If one bulb goes, I don't lose anything but a little bit of brilliance. He has 2 lights, he has 2 lights, he has 2 lights. And these guys here have 3 lights. Again, it's 1 light over 2 of them, another one over 2 of them, and then 1 over all 3. And they're all 19 degrees, and that's all built in redundance. If they ever solo, they come out down here, and then they get follow spots. But she is usually lit in 1 light, and that's totally about her skin complexion and cameras. And she gets a lot of people just cameraing away, cell phone cameras. And they do. I've seen them doing it. They're streaming straight to YouTube as they're shooting it.